the time they're losing, the gaps are beginning to open up in front of them, and it's not going to get them a huge number of positions to go for a one-stop if they can even keep the tyres alive to the end. A few more drivers going off in similar positions.
Vettel just slightly deep on the brakes there. He was very generous with not gaining anything through that chicane. We saw Fernando Alonso, the car just behind him, get penalised for gaining too much through the chicane in Miami, and Vettel there just half throttle. I think he lost out a bit of time. This is Yuki. It was on his own then. A really lazy spin on throttle. Is that the first sign then that the track is going away? I don't know, because Valtteri Bottas has just had a personal best on his hard tyres, so maybe just a very sloppy driver error from Tsunoda.
Yeah, the lead car's still in the 123, so it doesn't look that way, but it was a fairly innocuous spin, wasn't it? Just a bit too much of the loud pedal as we pick up the battle. Sebastian Vettel now honing in on the back of Esteban Ocon, and all the while that it's going wrong for Alpine, as you say, having a stinker, it's actually tracking in the right direction for Aston Martin. They're having a good Grand Prix compared to their qualifying
reporting it. Sainz struggling with rear grip, and Verstappen is gaining. We know he's so good in slippery conditions. His car control is immense, and here he comes on the back of the Ferrari.
Charles Leclerc is pushing really well. Another half a second taken out of Russell, 5.1 seconds the difference now.
rubber down after the rain yesterday. So Deg is high, that'll help Ferrari, but it's also meaning that Leclerc's not getting the tyres fired up. Look at this.
Yeah, and Verstappen needs Perez to get out of the way here because he needs a clean line of attack. Here is Verstappen, and he's going to be all over the back of that Ferrari because, as you say, Jolyon, that Ferrari is just not firing up those hard tyres.
Oh, he's in huge trouble, Leclerc. He's got no grip at all. The hards are not working. Verstappen's going to keep running him. In at this stage because everyone might have to go for inters, and the second stop for these guys is negated. But Verstappen seems to have just dropped it on his own through turn 13. He can go on board into the tight left hand and turns it in. Tickles the throttle and round she goes. No problem at all. Imagine being on a hard time. He's just shown that he has so much more grip over Leclerc. But Leclerc sweeps back through as Verstappen pointed the wrong way. A perfect 360 pirouette. He didn't lose too much time at all with it, luckily for him. But yeah, costly for Max. He's going to do that move on Charles Leclerc over again.
Leclerc nearly got his sympathy as well. And we're getting to Max as well into the pit position.
Stop for the second time. They are leading, or effectively on track, the lead cars as we see Perez into his pit box. 4.1 seconds the difference between Carlos Sainz and Lewis Hamilton. Then it's Charles Leclerc, who we think is the net lead in this Grand Prix, 17 seconds behind Carlos Sainz at the moment, but he's ahead of Max Verstappen, crucially, but Verstappen will come back on those medium tyres, and Charles Leclerc needs to somehow get some performance out of those hard tyres that he's got on that Ferrari.
Okay, so I think Sainz and Hamilton are now trying to extend this medium stint so they can go onto the soft tyre. Otherwise, they also have to use this hard, which is just really bad at this stage. Verstappen getting right onto the tail of Leclerc again, and we're probably going to have to take two of an easy pass because Leclerc, whilst he has more temperature in the tyres, the performance just isn't there compared to the medium. So I think that's why Sainz and Hamilton are trying to extend. They can then pit onto a soft and be quick towards the end of the Grand Prix.
Early race leader and pole sitter George Russell is the Mercedes flashing behind the Red Bull. On your screen, you'll see George Russell. There he is, just flash in and out of vision as we watch this, the battle for third and fourth, and the net lead on track. DRS for Max Verstappen, and Charles Leclerc looking in his mirrors. He's not as close as he was last time around, Max Verstappen. He's not going to get it done down into turn one this time. Fastest lap, though, for the Dutchman.
That's quite good straight after having a 360 spin as well for Max. Goes to the outside at turn 2, but surely he's not going to drive all the way around there from that far back. So Leclerc's going to survive for another lap. Verstappen had an extra advantage last time because not only was Leclerc on the high compared to the medium, it was just off their outside. So the temperature wasn't in for Charles, and he was just scrambling around all over the place. Still at wheel. Particularly on the hard tyres. This time though, he's at least finding some temperature in that tyre, even if it's not performing very well. It's working better than it was earlier on. It's maybe not as easy as it was for Max on the lap back.
Massive relief for Charles Leclerc, but Max Verstappen disappeared, that's for sure. He's putting Charles Leclerc under pressure. You can feel the tension here. What's the weather going to do all the while? Because the track conditions have changed.
I don't know if Sainz and Hamilton are out of this race either yet. They're doing something different, and they're going to be quick at the end. They're going to make a pit stop and come roaring back. Chance of Verstappen hit. DRS and he's close.
DRS for Max Verstappen. Charles Leclerc goes defensive. Around the outside goes the Red Bull, trying to get the switch back in the drive down to turn 2. And he does. Look at that. Just much more performance and grip on those medium shod tyres. And he gets a little wobble in turn 2, but Charles Leclerc not with the grip or the momentum to try and capitalise.
Okay, so the second time around is harder, but still not too hard. The hard tyres. Before the end, they're going to make another pit stop and they're going to come out behind George Russell. So that'll be 4th and 5th for Sainz and Hamilton. But I think they're going to be looking at soft tyres to the end, which will be quick, and they're going to have a big tyre advantage on the likes of Verstappen and Leclerc, who've had their own little fight here. Verstappen on top has had a full-on spin. Leclerc's on a hard that has no pace. This might be working nicely for Sainz and Hamilton. And by the way, Hamilton is flying up to the back of Carlos Sainz. He was 6/10 quicker on the last.
They are probably losing a huge amount of time to Max Verstappen though. His last lap past us right was a 1:22.1. Hamilton's was 23.6. Carlos Sainz was a 24.2. So huge differences in pace between Verstappen and the two in front. They will have to react to go to those soft tyres quite soon if they're going to. It's just not going to work.
But the reason that Verstappen is so much quicker than these guys is because their medium tyres are going off. Max's medium tyres will be going off as well towards the end of this. They've still got a fair way to go.
And that's the other factor that could help Sainz and Hamilton if it gets to the point where intermediates come into the play.
Bardzo dziękuję.
Those positions because everybody's going to have to stop.
That's a really important point there from Sam Collins, because they owe us a pit stop, but that means Finland if the rain was to come down, because everyone would have to come in and change tyres. What has helped those two out front is Verstappen spinning. There's no two ways about that.
Well, it just cost them time. It cost them race time. Verstappen and Leclerc, and then the little fight that they had afterwards, it just held Max Verstappen back. Lewis Hamilton on the radio saying tyres are still okay, and he's still doing well. Again, 4/10 quicker than Sainz. He's coming back into this one.
Now we turn our attentions to George Russell, because what can he do on the medium tyre? Can he start to close the gap? 1.4 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. We're looking at the battle at the head of the timing screens. Carlos Sainz and Lewis Hamilton. There's Max Verstappen now. Charles Leclerc will flash through, and you can just see how close George Russell is now. And Charles Leclerc could be under pressure from the Mercedes soon.
Yeah, the hard tyres are still not working, and the mediums of Russell are doing well, and that's going to help Sainz and Hamilton out front as well. Verstappen is looking good for now. If there's a safety car or a virtual safety car, again, Sainz and Hamilton quids in the position that they're in as well. They're going to come out behind Verstappen because of the way that he's just catching a second and a half per lap on Sainz on the last tour. But they're going to have freshened tyres, and they should be looking good. There's a few factors as to why Sainz and Hamilton are still out, although Sainz is going to be in Someone must be just having a little flirt with one of the runoff areas down there.
Verstappen's already through turn 3, so is Leclerc and Russell, and Carlos Sainz not even down to turn 2 here.
Soft tyres for Sainz, so that's what we thought, but the pit stops are just horrible for Ferrari, and particularly Carlos Sainz at the moment. Another one where he's just revving it, but had nowhere to go, still up on the jacks.
These two have just stopped, and there's contact as Lance Stroll tried to go around the outside of Daniel Ricciardo.
I gave him plenty of room.
We saw, mate. Get going, get going.
Hit me.
Yeah, we saw.
Check
mate.
damage.
It's hard tyres for Ricciardo.
Blue flag
That's
Hamilton
why he
through.
wasn't...
Right, get back into the rhythm.
Doesn't feel okay, but trusting you.
Ricciardo had gone to those hard
Okay, I'll
tyres,
date at the
and
time
that's,
for now, Lance. Stay out.
and that's why he just had no grip.
So
Lots
train
of-
of blue cars ahead. Gasly 2 Astons.
So Hamilton stays out. He leads the race, 6 seconds ahead of Max Verstappen. He's trying to now do something different to Sainz, but apparently he's got a gap to be fighting with, and that's because Carlos Sainz had a very slow pit stop.
Horribly slow on the left rear for Sainz in that pit stop. That's why he just lost so much time. Lewis Hamilton, now the Mercedes team are going to wonder what to do. They want to take that soft tyre, but Max Verstappen is coming at him extremely quickly. Now just 5.8 seconds between the first 2 cars on track. Charles Leclerc, though, is no longer losing time so much to Max Verstappen, or as much time. If Verstappen's tyres start to drop off towards the end of the race, Leclerc on those hards could come back into the picture.
He's got a chance. That's what Ferrari can hope, that the mediums on Verstappen's car will drop. And as you said, he's just managed to keep that gap now within 3 seconds. I don't think that was quite right, the graphic on the bottom. I think Hamilton still would have come out behind Sainz, particularly with Sainz on the fresher tyres. The soft tyres would have protected against an overcut then from Hamilton, even with that slow pit stop. So Mercedes keeping Hamilton out for a big tyre offset towards the end of the race, and it's still very close for the rest of them.
Lance Stroll's caught back up to the rear of Daniel Ricciardo, so this might be payback time for the Aston Martin driver. He'll be ruining that incident down at turn 2. He's got the DRS now, and he should make easy work of Daniel Ricciardo's McLaren. He does. He gets the racing line for turn 1, and you can see his teammate as well, Sebastian Vettel, filtering through behind Daniel Ricciardo. At the moment, this is the battle for 11th, 12th and 13th. Stroll in 11th, Daniel Ricciardo 12th, Sebastian Vettel in 13th.
That contact might be a bit of a reprieve for the Alpines or Valtteri Bottas on a long one-stopper at the moment. Those two drivers were looking like they were going to get some good points. They still could, 11th and 12th, but again, a bit like Verstappen's spin, it cost them a lot of race time there, so they're dropping away.
Big lock up for someone at the chicane. That was ahead of Daniel Ricciardo.
Speaking of Daniel Ricciardo, the position he's in will not be the position at the end of the race. He's just been handed a 5 seconds penalty, causing a collision.
Verstappen's in the melee here, isn't he, with all these back markers, right in the thick of whoever had that big lock-up into the chicane. Max Verstappen might be losing a bit of time here.
Well, it's only Stroll and Hamilton ahead of Ricciardo into the chicane, but yes, Max Verstappen will be losing time. This is benefiting Lewis Hamilton. He's at the front of this gaggle of cars.
And there's the Ferrari and the Mercedes. That's 3rd and 4th, next 2nd and 3rd once Hamilton takes the pit stop, and Russell's very close to the back of Leclerc here.
There's confirmation of the 5-second time penalty for Daniel Ricciardo, and I think that's fairly regulation stuff, really. I think Vettel was very close to him last time around, but look, George Russell's right up to the back of Charles Leclerc now.
Leclerc still struggling, and he didn't get good traction out of turn 1. He had to cover the inside in towards turn 1. Russell has a nose to the outside. Leclerc covers that, but he's still fighting the car. He has to go side by side towards turn 4.
Looks really uncomfortable for Charles Leclerc. He almost slid wide there at turn 2. And George Russell right up behind the Ferrari now. That looks slightly better through turns 4 and 5. Clear the lapped traffic. Alfa Romeo getting out of the way.
Leclerc's lost heaps through this traffic. He was in it. The gap was 3 seconds and now extended up to 5. So Leclerc, maybe on those hard tyres, just as the pace slows down for a few corners, just getting the tyres back out of the window, and Russell now looks ready to pounce on his mediums.
That's not Valtteri Bottas ahead. That's the Ferrari. Hamilton's going to box this time around.
Because Verstappen was catching quickly, again embroiled in a fight that would slow him down. So Hamilton is going to dive into the pits. Yes, he does. That releases Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell, and then Sainz into the top four, and Hamilton will join Sainz on a charge for these final laps.
Vettel does get past Ricciardo, but look, with the DRS, it's Mercedes versus Ferrari, and Leclerc, well, it looked like he was going to lock the rears and go wide. He doesn't, and now Russell will have DRS to come back at him again at turn 2, and Russell's still behind. Charles Leclerc doing a wonderful job skating around the track in this Ferrari on the hard compound tyres, keeping George Russell behind.
This is what Sainz and Hamilton need if they want to charge up to the back of them as well. These two fighting, slowing them both down, then dropping quickly away from Verstappen now. Another second into the advantage that Max has. He is now the race leader, not just the net leader. 6 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc, going to the end of the race, and he's looking pretty good. And all the while these two fight, back from Max Verstappen, who started in 10th position in this Grand Prix, remember. Had a good start, had some good strategy as well. So these are not strategy has played a big part once again for Ferrari, pitting onto the hard tyres right now for Leclerc. The only option really when he did it, rather than to go long and do what Sainz has done. That is why Charles Leclerc, having looked like he was maybe in a position to lead this race, now struggling to hold on to second place.
Yeah, whilst this battle's on the start and finish straight, Hamilton's only just gone through turn 12, he's into turn 13 now, so he's got quite a bit of time, Hamilton, but he will be on that all-important soft tyre with fresh rubber. George Russell still can't get past Charles Leclerc.
These two have had a wonderful fight in this race. Leclerc tried that move that was driving in turn 2. Not this time for not going to be for a race win as it stands. Verstappen pretty much another second on the he has out. Much behind Carlos Sainz. He's a second quicker on the last lap. He's within 3 seconds. He's almost going to be coming into the back of shot. Sainz is going to be flying up to the back of these two.
17 laps to go on the board, but Max Verstappen is taking a second lap out of Charles Leclerc. Somebody else looks like they that rain system is heading directly for the circuit. Will it arrive in time?
Shakara, Sam Collins predicts rain.
Top 7 of Charles Leclerc second, then it's George Russell second place away from the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. You're watching that battle on screen, and Carlos Sainz is about 3.5 seconds behind this battle in 4th. Then it's Hamilton.
Here we go, Russell's very, very close. This could be the easy one that he's been looking for. DRS, Leclerc covers the inside. Now he's going to go to the outside. George Russell sweeps through. More grip under braking. Does Leclerc fight it? Can he fight it on the old hard tyres? The answer is no. Russell is into second, finally.
And he has DRS on the exit as well. So Russell has snatched second place away from Charles Leclerc, who's gonna, if it finishes like this, hemorrhage yet more points to his championship rival. And you could just see what happened there at the final corner. That was the precursor, really.
Oversteer, oversteer, oversteer coming through turn 14. And it's a crucial corner because it leads onto this long straight. A long straight with a big braking zone, the best overtaking place on the circuit, and Leclerc there getting it wrong in the final corner. Bit of an easy move there for George Russell in the end, and Leclerc's going to jump out of the way now, I think, for Carlos Sainz behind as well.
So Carlos Sainz in 4th place, 2.5 seconds behind now, and then you've got Hamilton about 10 seconds behind in 5th, and then 6 seconds behind him, Sergio Perez, and then a long way back, Lando Norris in 7th.
So there was a time where Hamilton could have pitted and come out right with Carlos Sainz after Sainz's slow pit stop.
This is for Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc is going to come and pit and take off those hards and put on a set of soft tyres. He's going to come out quite a way back. He's going to come up behind Sergio Perez and try and race his way back through. But with rain looking like it could factor into this race, that may be a bit of an error.
Well, Ferrari obviously don't think it's going to rain. Otherwise, they would have tried to hold out for a set of intermediates. Pits for the slicks. It's a better stop for Leclerc than Sainz has had all day, 2.6 seconds, but I think they just realised they're on a hiding to nothing on that hard tyre. There goes Sergio Perez through. Leclerc is down to 6th position. and he was just going backwards and backwards. The two cars next up with the two fastest cars on track at the moment, Sainz and Hamilton, so it was only going to be sort of 4th, 5th place anyway.
I think hindsight's a wonderful thing, but that's a head scratcher from
Sprawdźcie
Ferrari.
mapę.
Light rain. 2 laps. It shouldn't last long.
Well, the soft tyre that Leclerc's just pitted on will give him something in light rain. If it's not intermediate conditions, you've got to be on a soft rather than a medium, and certainly not on a hard tyre when it starts to drizzle. You need all the grip you can get from the soft compound, and that would probably be an extra incentive for Ferrari to just cut their losses on that hard and switch Leclerc to the soft.
You've got to feel sorry for those drivers who are on hard tyres and still slowly working their way back up the field. Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon and Lando Norris all just trying to find some advantage for going long towards the end. The one stopper's clearly not working against the twos.
In the drizzle, they're going to be really, really struggling.
I don't think Charles Leclerc, with 14 laps to go, thought he would be the meat in a Williams sandwich on his outlap at this stage of the Grand Prix.
In fairness, he has put a lap on them.
But still, it's gone from bad to worse for Charles Leclerc. And it's a bit of a head scratcher again from Ferrari. Verstappen in control out front, 8.5 seconds ahead of George Russell. Carlos Sainz now up to that 3rd spot. Then it's Hamilton, and there is the weather radar that Sam Collins has been talking about.
Well, that looks like it is going to be, as we heard, light rain. It's blue, it's not red or yellow, but it's more rain on that. I've got a different radar, and you've seen it on your screens that the teams are using. That could be a bit more intense, but I think it's not going to be intermediate conditions.
Pierre Gasly here, charging down to turn 1. He's trying to get past Daniel Ricciardo. There is the McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo. Pierre Gasly on the soft tyre. He gets it done down to turn 2. Goes a little bit wide. Will that allow Ricciardo to come back? No, it doesn't. So Gasly moves up to 13th. Ricciardo down to 14th.
Verstappen, 8.5 seconds clear. Medium tyres for him, medium tyres for Russell, similar strategy. That's looking good with 13 laps to go. The fight for Russell is behind. George has just come through there and done his personal best lap of the race, which has stopped the flow to Carlos Sainz. Sainz actually 2 minutes slower on the last lap. Sainz on his soft tyres, 2 seconds apart. That's close for second. The fastest man on circuit, as you can see, is Lewis Hamilton, and Hamilton is over a second quicker than the 2 ahead of him. So Hamilton is going to roar into this fight for second if Sainz can't get on with it before long.
Yeah, 6 seconds behind Carlos Sainz, so he's got to keep this pace up.
You can just see it flash into the background of that last shot as Sainz is turning in towards turn 4. Hamilton was coming out of turn 3, and when you see your driver ahead, you're the one that you need to beat for a podium position, then it gives you that extra incentive as well, just to dig as deep as you can on the grippiest tyres right now. This is a chance for Hamilton.
Yeah, 13 laps remain in this, the Hungarian Grand Prix. Will those soft tyres hang on till the end, though, if Hamilton continues to bring the neck of that Mercedes? This is the battle for second. George Russell, who qualified on pole, is now trying to keep Carlos Sainz on the soft tyre behind. Just see Carlos Sainz there. 2.2 seconds the gap, and George Russell quicker last time around. His personal best lap, a 1:22.7, with Carlos Sainz at 1:22.6. So Russell is working hard in that Mercedes to try and keep this gap where it is, and that's his best lap of the Grand Prix.
But the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, smoked in once again by Lewis Hamilton, is 1.4 seconds quicker than his teammate and Carlos Sainz, who are trading blows. Here comes George Russell, there goes Carlos Sainz. Now if you hold that camera shot, you might see Lewis Hamilton. There he is now behind the AlphaTauri. He is getting towards this fight for second.
It's hammer time for Lewis Hamilton. We haven't said that for a while, and he wants that rostrum spot away from either Carlos Sainz or George Russell.
Pierre Gasly is the back marker between them. That will cost Lewis probably a little bit of time to go round the back marker, always does, even though they're instructed to get out of the way.
Terrific tyres will be fine to the end.
AKA push for George. Second place last time out for Mercedes. Second and third. They would love to have that again. And remember, as Lewis Hamilton that was second last time out in France, this would be George Russell's best ever result in Formula 1, matching what he did in a Williams last year.
Hamilton been on Binotto walking away there.
Certainly was. Just wondering, probably the 10-lap-old tyres on Carlos Sainz's Ferrari really not matching the fresher 6-lap-old tyres on Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes. Hamilton is really eating into the advantage of Sainz right now.
And Sainz is looking like he's got nothing more to offer now. He closed into the back of Russell,
Dziękuję.
but now it's just 1/10 at a time. 1.9 seconds the gap. He needs a bit of rain or an intervention from somewhere to get the soft tyres having a bigger advantage over the mediums. Mercedes think Russell's mediums can go to the end. Did Ferrari blink too soon with Sainz?
Hamilton 3.8 seconds behind last time around.
Over a second again,
Yeah,
Lewis.
it was only a lap or two ago. I was saying that gap was over 6 seconds. And here is Lewis Hamilton coming out of turn 5, down to the chicane now, and you can see the rear of Carlos Sainz's Ferrari, and that really helps from a driver's perspective. Through the long sweepers now. Lewis Hamilton wrestling that Mercedes around. There is Carlos Sainz just going through turn 12.
Atakujcie wroga!
Slightly closer to Russell this time. He's going to take another couple of tenths away. If he gets within a second, he'll get the DRS, of course, and think about launching a full-scale attack on the back of the second-place Mercedes. But if he doesn't get it soon, Hamilton's going to be there. Lewis crosses the line now, and he's 1.3 seconds quicker than George Russell.
Max Verstappen on a Sunday drive. He's keeping that gap at 8.5 seconds, having opened it up rather quickly.
At this rate, Lewis Hamilton is going to be in DRS range of Carlos Sainz the lap after next, and he's flying along. But if Sainz has an even more dodgy sector than he's on, it'll be a lot less than that, as you can see on your screens.
Sainz needs to get closer to Russell to help him defend from Hamilton at this rate. The fresher tyres on Hamilton's Mercedes compared to Sainz's Ferrari is giving him a huge benefit, and he was already kinder on his tyres on the last stint. That's why Ferrari called Sainz in early. Hamilton was catching him up and was a threat of an undercut. Then he went long, and now he's getting the rewards by having a much fresher set of soft tyres.
And they're going to catch Yuki Tsunoda, and then ahead of Tsunoda you've got Vettel, Stroll and Bottas. So there is some lap traffic that may play its part in this, that could help one of these 3 runners.
Hamilton now very much in this fight. You can see them all into the same corner. Russell, Sainz,
Przejęliśmy
and Lewis
inicjatywę.
Hamilton. When was the last time Hamilton
Uwaga! Na
was
wskazaną strefę!
He's on a fine run form. Didn't get it right yesterday. It must have really hurt to see George Russell on the level as well. As much as you want to be the team player, you want to be that guy delivering breakthrough results for a team that he's really been such a huge, instrumental, historical part of in the last decade. He's back onto terms with his teammate today.
He's right there. The gap now 1.3 seconds and closing 1.2. So next time around, could Lewis Hamilton have the DRS on Carlos Sainz?
Sainz is struggling with the rear tyres, I think.
How does Russell tires look for Tatuno?
Some front abrasion for him, but safe to the end, let's say. Also, our tires are healthy.
Sainz just starting to slide on this lap through turn 2.
Let's just have a look at Charles Leclerc down in 6th place, almost 30 seconds off the race lead, 4.5 behind Sergio Perez, a 1:21.8 last time around. That's quite quick, but it's not super quick. Lewis Hamilton's also in that sort of 1:21.8 margin.
Well, Leclerc's out of this one. He's just trying to get back with into the top 5 ahead of Sergio Perez. That's Leclerc's race at this point. Another race of strategy going against Charles Leclerc. I have to say the strategy today has been more complex than in recent times. It's more understandable for them to be struggling a little. The hard tyres, though, just not being the order of the day, and that's where Leclerc fell foul. DRS for Hamilton.
So Hamilton there. We look on from the back of Carlos Sainz's car. He's closing all the time, and he's right up to the rear wing of the Ferrari through turn 1. He'll get DRS again down to turn 2. He's a bit closer this time around. What can Carlos Sainz do to position that Ferrari and stop Lewis Hamilton? Surely not around the outside. No, he elects better to get the run through turn 3 and up the hill to turn 4.
He thought about it. He thought about it on the exit of turn 2 there. Sometimes you can do a real cheeky one as the driver ahead is just thinking about preparing turn 3 and being flat out for the run up the hill. And Lewis there was just a little bit too far back to keep a nose in on the inside of 3. He's close though, and he's got the grip.
And I think he's going to have DRS again next time around. But here's the lap traffic that we were talking about. Should get out of the way.
It does for Russell, but it's going to be in the way of Sainz through turn 11. Then he should get out the way again of the pair of these two drivers fighting for third. Oh, but he doesn't.
Zaatakować wojska nieprzyjaciela.
Tsunoda, who's ahead, and this is going to compromise Carlos Sainz a lot here. Now they both go through. Sainz won't get DRS. Hamilton is all over the tail of him.
That's really compromised Carlos Sainz through the final corner now. Lewis Hamilton, so much more grip when it comes to the minimum speed. Has he got the exit? He'll have the DRS, and here comes the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton around the outside. There's nothing that Carlos Sainz can do, and that AlphaTauri did compromise the Ferrari, but Lewis Hamilton all the while has looked very good value to get past Carlos Sainz, and now he sets his sights on his teammate George Russell.
What do Mercedes do here? Russell in second, the pole man has been fighting for the race lead so far. Hamilton charging up from 7th on the grid into 3rd. Surely they've got to let Hamilton through and just disappear into a safe second whilst Russell holds on ahead of Carlos Sainz, who's still a threat to Mercedes' double podium at this stage.
It's interesting that. I think if I was in the Mercedes garage, I'd be tempted to say let them race, but you're absolutely right. Sainz is still a little bit of a threat to George Russell and could get that one done.
Hamilton's so much quicker than Russell. I think he'll do it on track if there's no team orders anyway.
Lance Stroll's just passed Valtteri Bottas for points. Stroll is up to 10th place. There's George Russell, and there's his teammate Lewis Hamilton. This might not come down to a team decision, because Hamilton might just be able to do this with DRS on the track.
And he will if there's no team orders, the same way as he's just made light work of Carlos Sainz. He will make light work of George Russell if Mercedes allow them to fight. I think they're going to for now.
Vettel's just got past his teammate. Hamilton's got the DRS, closes right up to the back of George Russell.
Live and exclusives on F1 Live. You've just saw Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll coming together in turn 1.
They're racing still in turn 2, so are the two Mercedes. I think there was contact between the two Aston Martins.
The two Mercedes are about to come up to the two Aston Martins. There'll be blue flags any minute for Stroll and Vettel. There they go into turn 4. There go the two Mercedes. The Aston Martins had a little bit of, well, almost a touch right at the end of the Hülkenberg race last week. Big lock up for Vettel.
Yeah, Vettel is trying to get past Lance Stroll, but quite what has gone on there, I don't know, but the battle behind is coming like an express train. George Russell continues to lead it. There are the two Mercedes on the split screen. It's the two Aston Martins that are fighting for points ahead.
This is going to be, I think, the first time we really see the Mercedes fighting on track properly for a big position. I think they had a small fight in Miami for sort of 5th and 6th. But now it's 2nd and 3rd. There's 6 laps to go to the flag. Russell would love to finish ahead of Hamilton. He qualified on pole. He was the darling of the team yesterday. But Hamilton, the 7-time champ, has come on strong today, and he has to put some manners on his young teammate.
He's got the run, he's got the DRS, and here comes Lewis Hamilton closing in on George Russell. Russell goes defensive. Hamilton will go to the outside. And well, Lewis Hamilton elects to get the switchback. I thought he was going to go around the outside, and that was textbook stuff from Hamilton.
There we go. The team allowed them to fight it out. They were under, at that point, no pressure from Ferrari behind. They did fight it out, and the result was a pretty clear-cut win for Lewis Hamilton there for 2nd place. A wry smile on the face of Toto Wolff. Probably the best outcome for Mercedes at that point. The faster driver of the two has got himself ahead, and that should guarantee Mercedes a 2nd place at least. Now the question is, can Sainz get back onto the tail of Russell and resume that fight, just with Hamilton having breezed past the boat?
7-time world champion, lots of experience. He outwitted, with the use of DRS there, his younger teammate. And of course, Hamilton with 3 third places in a 2nd place last time out, back in that 2nd spot for the closing laps of this Hungarian Grand Prix.
Atakujcie wroga!
He's just having an outstanding run at the moment. 6th position still on new soft tyres, making limited inroads into Sergio Perez.
Martin's a little bit fascinating.
Wspaniale.
Sebastian Vettel, who's the second of the two Astons, is on mediums, whereas his teammate is on softs
Yeah.
at the same time.
Nigdy.
Here, down into turn one, as we go on board with the Ferrari driver in 6th place. Yeah, we'll come back to that, Sam. But
The Aston Martin fight is for a point as well. The same as it was last time out, where Stroll just hesitated on the throttle coming out of the final corner in France. That sort of put Vettel off. Vettel was trying to line up a switch back, nearly ran into the back of his teammate and just about avoided it. Was not very happy with the team afterwards and the strategy decisions not to double stack in the safety car period. He wasn't very happy with it. He then announced his retirement midweek. And now he's back in fighting with Lance Stroll in 10th place. Stroll's back in 10th, Vettel is in 11th. Stroll's had an incident already in this race with Daniel Ricciardo, because Ricciardo took penalised for at turn 2. And just going at it still.
Max Verstappen is going at it. He continues to eke out that gap, having kept it at around 8.5 seconds. It's almost 11 seconds now to Lewis Hamilton. George Russell's 12.5 behind. Will make that 14 last time around in 3rd place. Carlos Sainz is dropping back. I tell you what, Perez loading on Sainz. Took a second out of him last time around. With 3 laps to go, he's only 4 seconds shy.
He's on a good speed, but he won't make it.
Wygrywamy.
If anyone still had some sort of harbourings of thoughts that Ferrari could win the championship after France, I think this is a pretty emphatic no they can't, isn't it, from Red Bull? How have they gone from qualifying 6th and 11th, their worst qualifying session, not only the year, but 10th and 11th for a championship fight, without having grid penalties for power unit replacements or anything, and yet they're marching away with an easy win, and Sergio Perez has had a quiet race, he's almost taking advantage of the lead Ferrari. They're going to get both Red Bulls ahead of both Ferraris. It's been an incredible recovery from Red Bull, and Ferrari yet to get to 2nd and 3rd in a fast car. They've just tumbled into, they're not even on the podium at the end of this.
Well, you saw the radio message on your screen there. You see the radar on Alpine, and you can see the engineer's hand waiting for those raindrops. It does have shades of, I think, and Jonas going to definitely correct me on this, Spa 2008, where you had rain on the final lap and it completely changed the result. But this could as well if it brings out the safety car.
No power.
Bottas was behind both the Aston Martins in 12th place. Now that could bring out the safety car.
That could end the race effectively there for this one. Not many laps to go, and a couple of laps to go. Bottas has stopped it in not the greatest of places either, it has to be said. And that'll be, I think, a full safety car, and that should end the race. You're right, so not going to get it.
Well, I do hope we do. I hope that they keep this as a local caution, but they've gone for the virtual safety car. That's the best we can expect at this point of the race, or on the full safety car. Hopefully they just shove it out of the way as quick as possible. We get back to racing before the end of this Grand Prix. Another Ferrari power unit issue though.
You can see where Bottas's car is there, up towards turn 11. The Marshal's getting out to it quickly, so they could maybe push it towards the barriers. I don't think Valtteri intended on leaving it there. He just didn't have the oomph to get it towards the barrier.
How much would Lewis Hamilton and George Russell be calling for a safety car there? I think that would have ended the race though. We wouldn't have been able to get the safety car out.
A safety, you wouldn't have had a safety. You wouldn't be able to have a safety car in and out and get back to racing. So the VSC is the best you can hope for.
We'll have our last lap shootout between Verstappen and Hamilton for the race win.
It could still happen.
It's happened before.
Is the car all okay?
Stand by.
Well, that's not what he wants to hear.
No. For Charles Leclerc in 6th place. Now, there's a few gremlins maybe in that Ferrari.
It's even worse for him that this VSC, that he's not going to be able to chase Perez, even though Checo actually was still going quite well.
race. I think we stayed calm.
Unbelievable, Max. That is right up there with your best. Unbelievable. Fantastic.
Amazing result. Well, we would have won the race.
It's difficult to pinpoint any one thing with one race. Definitely a good start, yes. Some good early overtakes, yes. There was no one moment of brilliance. It was just an all-round.
Great work, guys. Great work. What a result for the team. So happy for you all, and so grateful to you all. Let's keep pushing. This is super awesome. Would have had the pace to win if we hadn't had that DRS issue.
Another race where Lewis had the edge on his teammate in race trip. But it's not quite enough further down.
Great job by Lewis. Good racing him. Well done.
I think it was a great drive from George as well, though. I mean, fighting for the lead of the race, his first ever pole position, holding off Charles Leclerc, some beautiful battling between the two of them as well. And in the end, it was just strategy in the Red Bull team. Verstappen undercut Russell. There was nothing he could do. He was just done for pace and done for strategy.
Alpine managed to salvage some points towards the end. Their one-stop strategy netting them 8 and 9. Aston Martin's actually better. Tyres work against the softs. And towards the back of the field, not really mentioned, was Williams trying a three-stop strategy, but it didn't work at all.
Going back to
Uwaga na wskazany kwadrat.
They've all been outfoxed by Verstappen. They took their eyes off the ball with
everything that we wanted.
Well, Max, we know we're on the summer break now. I believe the Dutch are camping for a couple of weeks.
I mean, that's what the normal Dutch would do, but maybe it's just
Okay, well, enjoy the summer break. Enjoy the victory. Lewis Hamilton. What a drive. This very kind to you. Your first victory was here. That's your 11th podium. Where did the speed come from in the second half of that race?
I honestly don't know.
see an absolute piece of strategy and a brilliant drive there from Verstappen.
Dzień dobry, witam wszystkich. Tutaj na wstępie chciałem powiedzieć, że przedstawiam historię naszej czekoladki. Samochodzik Audi A4 B8 z znikomym przebiegiem około 90 000 km. No, przywieziona ze Szwajcarii, wiadomo, silnik wyremontowany u Michała z tymi korbowodami, duże turbo wleciało K0464 i w ogóle. No i teraz chciałem powiedzieć, co się z nią dzieje. No, samochodzik już został sprzedany, no i pokażemy krok po kroku, jak się przygotowaliśmy do tej sprzedaży, jakie tam jeszcze usterki wyszły w samochodzie, który miał tak mały przebieg. No to zapraszamy na film i oglądajcie do końca, bo tam będzie wszystko po kolei pokazane, co i jak, razem z momentem przekazania auto i z pierwszą taką kontrolą jakości po przejechaniu ileś tam kilometrów przez nowego właściciela, konkretnie 1000. Zapraszam na film. Kupcio.
Piękną, ładną, zdrową, z małym przebiegiem A4 rozbieramy.
Kurwa łożyska w
Kładzie kierowniczy has.
układzie. Kurwa i
To samo jest u mnie w czwórce.
100 przebiegu i takie rzeczy się dzieją, kurwa. Żadnej rdzy nie ma, nic. Kurde, jakie długie śruby stamtąd wychodzą. Jeszcze na dole jedna na śrubę 13 nie została. Jedna jest, no, M8, M10 i 2x13. Rozpierdol zrobiony, pusto tutaj jest. Narzędzi, no, nie mało do tego było potrzebnych. To już sobie wstępnie wymacałem, o co tu chodzi. To łożysko hasuje. Dolne jest cichsze i tak takie przeskoki takie są. Tu jedno łożysko jest China, a drugie łożysko jest Poland. Ja tutaj widziałem napis, o. Jest. No wiadomo, które pierdolnęło. Takie łożysko. NSK. Poland. Zmiana cicha to. To jest dramat. Zjebane chińskie łożysko. 6806Z. Chińskie łożysko zamieniamy na japońskie. Tu jest napisane Japan. No, polskie też na japońskie. Dobra, nakładamy. Oj, siedzi Japonia. Nic. Żadnych dźwięków. Znaczków nie starłem, nie. Oba zmienione, oba cichutkie. Zaczynamy od wsadzania tego. O, tu moje znaczki są. Jakiś przyrząd będę musiał sobie dorobić, żeby do wsadzania tego. Łatwo się nie obeszło, trzeba było tak kurwa przypunktować jak oryginał. Tutaj w 4 miejscach. Raz, 2, 3, 4, bla bla bla. Na wóz. No, szczęśliwy jestem, też tam wszystko poskładałem. Tam był taki jeden jeszcze ukryty kabelek. A jeszcze zademonstruję, bo oczywiście musiałem sprawdzić. O, fajnie jest, że jedno w drugie mu tak ładnie trafi równo. Tak jak kręciłem, już było pum. Pum. Jest kurwa absolutna cisza. Podejrzewam, że ten samochód miał od nowości taką wadę. Kurwa chińskiego łożyska. Składam. Zaczynamy od tego. O kurwa, jak to było? Tak, nie. Dobrze, ten plasticzek najpierw muszę wsadzić. On tutaj ma wpinki. Ogień, kurwa. Później było to. To śmiesznie na opaskę jedną zaciskam tylko. O, to już siedzi, tu mamy śrubkę. Belki powsuwane, zabezpieczenie dopięte, bo to jest od airbaga. To. O kurwa, nie wiem czy teraz dam radę. Zapomniałem o tym. To jest jakiś czujnik od klimatyzacji. Co śrubę zostawiłem. O kurwa, nie wkręcono. Czy mi się to teraz zmieści? O! Weszło. A tam wszystko siedzi. Teraz było to. To było przykręcone na tą śrubkę i na te tutaj. W niesamowitym szoku, jak to wszystko ze sobą jest idealnie spasowane. Od góry zatyczka, złoży kierownicę, podłączę prąd. Czekoladko, to mniejsze podobności, ten trochę poluźnie. Jeszcze śrubkę muszę wsadzić. Sporo fajnie, takie składanie nowego wozu bardzo ćwiczy pamięć. Także no, dzięki filmom można sobie wrócić, że wiecie co tam się spierdza i to. O kurwa, śrubeczka. Musi wskoczyć jedno w drugie. Skoczyło. No ładnie, to wszystko jest takie spasowane.
Wystarczą 2 kliknięcia i mniej niż 30 sekund, by zainstalować darmową wtyczkę.
Karteczka. Nie ma szukania, bo śrubki sobie latają poduszki, jak to są małe. Pro poduszki podłączam poduszkę. A przyszły data oryginalnej hołdu 26.05.2010. To dwunabojowa. To wisiało. Idealnie ma swoje miejsce. Mięto włączone, to fajnie tak strzeliło przesadzanie spyt. No i śrubeczki różne. Nie w takiej pozycji się przekręca. Ta ulga, normalnie łzy szczęścia. Nie tylko prum, jednym jest prum. Dobra. Szybko ten tasik od dołu nam został. Bagażnik poskładać przy akumulatorze, bo akumulator odpinałem, żeby będą poduszki. Boczna zatyczka. Tu bezpieczniki w ogóle jakieś małe ulica. A tu jest jakieś... zabezpieczenie, żeby nie wypadały. Tutaj jakiś zestaw. Klucz ampulowy, nie wiadomo do czego. O, bezpieczniki rozpisane, ale jaja. No, w miejsce, żeby Jezu, jak się cieszę. Nie ma największego wkurwienia w tym samochodzie. Zażegnam. Panocznie.
No to już jesteśmy po testach czekolady. Po wymianie turbosprężarki. Żadnych zmian w softie nie było. No seria kiedyś pamiętam robiła H27,2. Fakt, że w dwie osoby 100-200. No tutaj turbo coś musiało dać. No jest turbo, intercooler, jest downpipe i jest, co tam kurwa jeszcze jest? Wypierdolony pierwszy zamulający tłumik.
No tak kurde, spoko. 3 sekundy? No nie. 2,5 sekundy lepiej niż taka seria. A jeszcze jedną bardzo ważną rzecz chciałem powiedzieć, którą czuć zwłaszcza przy hamowaniu, są koła 19. Na 17 mogę się założyć, że kurwa z pół sekundy mogłoby być lepiej. No wagę kół bardzo czuć przy hamowaniu. No 2,55 opona, a wcześniej była 2,25.
Kiedyś było 7,2 do paki, teraz fakt, że są duże koła.
O kurwa, tyle modyfikacji i wszystko te duże koła zmarnowały.
Dobra, jeszcze teścik 0-100. Procedura trawa seryjna.
Kurwa, takie coś nas spotkało. Cieszyłem się, że naprawiłem sobie spryski, o tutaj, o. To jest jedna rzecz. A druga rzecz, skurwysyna z silnikami tutaj coś leci. Leci, zapierdala mi płyn. Pierdolone całe jest to wygłuszenie. Tutaj zaczęło chapać. A4B8. To kurwa się odpierdala. Przewaga dzięki technice. 13-14, dobra, robimy. Bydle cholerne nie chce zejść. Myślałem, że rozwiercę to po prostu wiertarką, żeby ramię wycieraczkę odzyskać, a silniczek będzie wiercone. I ramię wycieraczki będzie uratowane. Nawet zagryzliło to na tym wieloklinie. Przez cały, idealnie. Dobra, to nie czekać na nowy silniczek. Valeo zrobiło nam takiego o, patrz, na wiercienki, drut z tego wyszedł. O, i z tego ciekło, kurwa, z tego gówna. Tylko chuj, trzeba było wymienić tyle. Takie, to przewaga dzięki technice. Całą mężkę. Wcześniej kabelek otwieram, jeszcze laska. Nie, wiązka. I chuj w dupę. Dobra, Rawcze przywiezie no. Była mosiąc, bo ja nie widziałem skąd mi mosiąc, kurwa, wychodzi przy wiercaniu. Jeszcze troszkę do mnie trzeba, dobra, tylko tu przytrzymam. Kura się ubrudziła, jebane wszystko. Oryginalne jak było, Valeo, mam nadzieję, że jakaś tam wersja poprawiona. Produkowana z lepszych chińskich materiałów, bo kolorami się różni. Kutasek pełny jest taki sam. Numery, o, trochę są inne numery, tu mam świeże gumeczki. Jeden chuj. To też się rozmitowało, sklepało się gdzieś na tym chyba. No, to była żółta naklejka ze srebrem. Dobra, chuj, padł. Muszę powiedzieć, że te części się pierdolą na potęgę, bo w tej hurtowni sobie spoko. Mieli stany magazynowe ponad 9 sztuk. Więc świadczy to o czymś, że to jakaś standardowa bolączka pierdolenia się. Prysk zapięty, śrubki 3 przykręcone i już. Tu oryginalna szczelka była ultra mega zajebista, ona nie zawiodła. Tylko zawiodło to gówno. Pan Rawcio jest? O kurwa, jakie umyte jak nowe, ja pierdolę. No, kutasy, którego kiedyś przedmuchiwałem, który perfekcyjnie działa. O, na nowe to ciężko nachodzi. O, już naszedł. Ciaśniutko. I podtrzymujący cały. O. Patrzę dziurki, patrzę, trzeba. Naprawione. Kolejna usterka znaleziona, usunięta. Sprzątamy złomy. Zda ze mnie do kwadratu. Mogłem zobaczyć pierwszą scenę filmu. Tak, tą wycieraczkę trzeba ustawić. A nie w tą stronę, bo tu dotąd zjeżdżała jebana. Ale ze mnie druciarz. No uczę się.
Wszystkie mecze w jednym miejscu.
Co tu się dzieje, trzeba opowiedzieć. No już jest po kuracji wzmacniającej. Furka 5 ma sekund do setki. Dzisiaj jeszcze pewno będzie dopieszczany program od skrzyni biegów. Osobiście się tym zajmę, więc może się uda zejść na 4,5 sekundy. No i żeby takie bydle zatrzymać, będziemy wpierdzielali tarcze hamulcowe z naszej S4. Już są. Panie Lucek każdą dziurkę ponawiercał, pooczyszczał. A do naszej S4 wchodzą też hamulce ze S4, ale nowszej. Troszeczkę większe i zaciski Akebono 6-tłoczkowe. Tył musiał nowy wlecieć niestety, bo niestety, a nowe klocki, nowe tarczoszki, będzie odświeżone. Hello, pożegnanie z czekoladą.
To nie jest czekolada.
No nie.
To czemu się z nią żegnasz?
Z tą nie żegnam się. To jest takie nasze zastępstwo tej pięknej oto maszyny. I co nowego w maszynie, kiciaczku? Zapal światełka, żebyśmy mogli pokazać, co żeśmy w niej zrobili. Anorysy są usunięte. I hamulce z S4. Dobra, światło dużo nie dało. Nie no, lecimy umyć samochodzik i go dostarczyć do nowych posiadaczy. Hamulce są z naszej S4, żeśmy dziurki wiertarką ponawiercili. Tarczę oczyściliśmy z rdzewki, parę hamowań było.
Tak Państwo kulturalnie wydacie się z folią na tym. To
tak.
jest mus.
Dobrze.
Możesz zdjąć, bo to musi być, wiesz, jak z salonu.
Wiadomo. Te już się trochę dotarły. Jeszcze się dotarły. To dzisiaj je podocieram. Wnętrze trochę odkurzone, ale jeszcze to powycieram. Przy pedale syfek. No dobra. Do roboty w niedzielę.
Bordschützen suchen nach Zielen in der Luft.
Z tyłu jest ładnie. Co z tym bagażniczkiem, Barbarko? Sprzątać czy nie sprzątać? Dobra, masz rację. Dobrze jest. Paliwa pół baku. No to ostatnia podróż czekoladką. Odwozimy ją. Nasz najbardziej dany Audi A4, kurde, z takim malusieńkim przebiegiem. Fiu! No ładnie było, kurde, ale ten Michał, ten kurde, łączy nam te wszystkie Audice, kurde, no. Kute korbowody, tutaj są pierwsze takie kuty, nasz silnik zmieścił. No i taka 0,464 no błędnie się sprawuje, po prostu sobie pyknę w gaz, cyk, i ona od razu się zbiera. Kurde, natychmiastowa reakcja, natychmiastowy taki cios, a nawet tak jak sobie zwolnimy, nie wiem, do jakiegoś tam wyższego biegu, manualnie pierdolę na przykład piątkę, na tej piątce sobie dodam gazu i ona normalnie na tej piątce zapierdolę.
Bardzo dziękuję!
Jakie tutaj męskie wozy mijamy, tutaj RS3, tutaj chyba tam M4 jakieś takie, albo M3, dzisiaj już nie znam na tym. No i to najsłabsze, jakieś 370 koni pewno ma tylko.
Wrogowie przejęli
Ale im daje radę. Kobitę mi porwali. Nie no, jedziemy koła jeszcze dowieźć, bo tu mamy zimóweczki, komplecik, tu czekoladka będzie. Ładna, nasza najładniejsza. No właściciela, próbowałem ich zmusić, żeby trochę depnęli, ale jeszcze się boją, muszą się oswoić z mocą. Bye bye czekoladko. No kurde, ładna sztuka, ale będą nie odwali, ja pierdzielę. Ja tak technicznie wszystko zadbałem, a tam, fajnie. Niech służy. Otwieramy. Gościa tutaj mamy. Gość przyjechał do nas na przegląd pozakupowy. Gość ze Szwajcarii. Oj, brama nie zamyka się. O, to właściwie ukrywa się. Dobra, wymieniamy olej w skrzyni biegów i wymieniamy olej w silniku. Kluczyki już mam w kieszeni. Są. O, czysty. Dbają bardziej jak ja chyba.
Przegrywamy.
Klocków natrzaskamy. Obiecałem, że po krótkim przebiegu powymieniamy wszystko co trzeba. To wymieniamy. Nie no, jest zachowany. A mąż będzie opowiadał co i jak. Dobrze, a ja tak powiem, że będziemy poprawiali jeszcze błędy przyszłości w tego samochodu, bowiem wymienialiśmy olej w skrzyni biegów, ale nie wymienialiśmy filtra w misce olejowej w skrzyni biegów, więc to będzie poprawiane. Samochodzik już 700 km zrobił. No i obiecałem pierwszy przegląd, że będzie jeszcze w cenie samochodziku i no, trochę go wcześniej robimy. Wymieniamy olej w silniku, będzie total... Nie, motura teraz będziemy mieli 5W40. Olej w silnik, olej w skrzyniach. Spuszczamy, a wóz do góry. A dbają, nic nie uszkodzone, fajnie. Weźmy, ściągamy osłony. Proponowałem, że właściciel sam osobiście może coś w swoim samochodzie porobić, no ale woli, żebyśmy my to zrobili. W pełni zrozumiałe. Ale będzie jeszcze trzeba wzmocnienie wykręcić, żeby miskę olejową zdjąć. Znowu się zaczyna wszystko lewą ręką, ale nie pierdolę GoPro, bo tak sobie pokazuje, co się nagrywa, co tak będę miał na głowie, będzie chuja pokazywania. Dobra, torksiki teraz. Dobra, słonka zdjęta, 3 śrubki. Olej leci jak ze słonia. Dobrze nagrzany. Z daleko przyjechane było do nas, czy z domku? Sobie zawalina, to zdążył się nagrzać. No woda się zrobiła, ale też 5W40 zalejemy, nie ubywa go. Dobra, raz, 2, 3. Nie zrobili. Najbardziej istotnej rzeczy. Dziękuję, że widzowie mówią takie rzeczy. Technologię woda poznajemy. W skrzyni biegów jest taki jeszcze filtr oleju. No i uszczelka do miski olejowej też.
Zawsze dają to w komplecie. No, czysty, świeży. Tak, przynajmniej wypuka wyczyścił. Nie zaszkodzi go wymienić.
Wróg wygrywa. Musimy go zaatakować.
Ale fajny ten magazyn, taki okrągły, jak ocenię. Poważna usterka. O, co, no to właściwie pierwsza próba inwestycja, to jakiś K11 udało się, jakiś stopień. No dobra, to nie wcale się uda, bo wtedy te korki mają zintegrowane kostki ze sobą. Wiadomo, tutaj zdjęta, to filtr oleju nowy, dajemy. Nawet wyglądzik olejowy będzie wykonany, jeszcze tylko tą żaróweczkę. Zadowoleni zakupem, zaakceptowałem od razu. A trochę za cichy, czy dźwięk może być? Wszystko pasuje, czy coś byście zmienili w dźwięku auta?
Coś bym jeszcze tak, takiego basika.
Basika. Głośniejszy, ale bardziej basowy.
Żeby nie był głośniejszy, ale...
Czy jakiś tłumik przylotowy trzeba wsadzić, jakiś jeden wymienić, no coś takiego? No opowiedz swoje wrażenie, bo wreszcie, no jak, bo również żona jeździ tym samochodem, ale udało się w końcu, jak nie było żon z procedury startowej ruszyć i efekt był dobry. A że kierownicy można nie trzymać, bo to jest Audi napęd na 4 koła, szerokie opony, takie... Tak...
tak naprawdę nic się nie dzieje.
O. Przez to one troszeczkę są nudne, bo żeby były ciekawe to 2000 koni, ale to mi się udało 5 sekund do setki tym autem. Dużo osób testowaliście je? Na pokładzie było? 3, no to jest 5-3, 5-4 pewnie, ale fajnie, cieszę się, że to działa.
No, powiem Ci, że wszystkie,
A tak w jeździe na co dzień jest w porządku, ta turbina tak on na 0,464 dobrze wstaje, nie narzekacie na brak czasu z dołu, że tak powiem, nie jeździ, czy trzeba czekać, aż tu naładuje?
ten samochód ma takie dwie twarze, nie? Taki jakby jest niepozorny i spokojny, no a jak mu się tam przyciśnie.
No. A pochwalić średnio w spalaniu, bo to już 700 km zrobiliście, jakieś trasy, nie trasy były i tam...
Wiesz co, na początek to tak przesiedliśmy się
Same miasto, czy troszkę trasy było?
no, trochę zabawy.
A, no to wiadomo, to na początku jest tak zawsze, jak zabawa ochłonęła, to już...
Tak, ale powiem Ci, że wracaliśmy tak normalnie, jak Bóg przykazał, ale wcale nie tak, że prawym pasem.
O kurde, to jest dobre, bo to jest, wiesz, fura prawie 400 koni i tak... kurde, no nie wykorzystuje się tej mocy mało pali, jak się wiadomo, wykorzystuje mocno pali więcej. To jest właśnie magia, mały silnik, bo jakby to było 4 litry, to by cały czas dużo musiało palić, tak fajnie wyszło. Dobra, palimy wóz, teraz musimy zrobić, jak wymienić olej w skrzyni biegów, musi się nagrzać, nadmiar trzeba opuścić. I żaróweczki są przygotowane, zaraz je też zmierznimy. Stawiamy, odpalamy. A w sumie skrzynia biegów jest ciepła, to olej się chwilę, moment nagrzeje. Radyjko włączymy. Trzeba cię podnieść. No, rafcie do góry. Rafcie wyjąłem, są na stole. Żaróweczki położone. A tutaj faktycznie lewy działał, prawy nie działał. A jest błąd żarówki, dobra. Co ja chciałem powiedzieć? Zobaczysz, nie okłamuję mi z tym spalaniem, ile mi tam wyszło. Średnie spalanie. Na jedyneczce. Dzisiaj 2 mają średnie spalanie. Takie długo bardziej, a Jezu, no, sprawdzam, ludzie, którzy ode mnie samochód kupili. A tu w tym momencie im sprzedałem samochód i odkąd go sprzedałem, średnie mają 8,5. Miasto, nie miasto, testy, nie testy, upalania, nie upalania. Działają? Dobra, jeździmy.
Musimy walczyć zacieklej.
Ale wręcz tak zrobię. Kontrola trakcji. Restricted. Wszystkie biegi tak sobie przepierdolimy i zaraz nadmiar olejku puścimy. Siedzę w ciepełku, no chłopaki do pompy. No i dobrze. No to co? Ostatnie śrubeczki tutaj sobie wsadzamy. Hop.
No tam właśnie są te żarówki do halogeników. Już są wasze tuningowe szpanerskie założone. Dawaj, Rafciu. Zostaw mi jedno, też chciałem z jedną wkręcić. Teraz tak bardziej na biało świecą, mogę powiedzieć, że to bardziej na żółto waliłem. Te koła świeże, tak jak to zobaczcie z ciekawości, jak te żarówki świecą także. Zobaczę wasze szpanerskie żarówki, jak tam świecą.
Atakować punkt B!
Ochroniać ulatne. Znaczy. Źródło mocy plus 50% osra. Dobrze, ale mocno z tego odcinają. O kurde, jest sztos. Trochę mniej od zwykłych na pewno będą miały sprawności. 250 godzin, dobra, to już się wyłączam. Widzimy tutaj poważną wadę, bo to jest drive home i świecą teraz spora zgaszona, żarówa wali. O, grzeje jak fajnie się w ogóle. Jest ciepło. Nie wiem ile one tam wad miały, ale trochę miałem. 55. Ło, na bogato. Jeszcze sam do siebie. Przebieg jest taki. W tej chwili mam wymieniony olej w silniku. Fit oleju, olej w skrzyni biegów, fit oleju w skrzyni biegów i ten zewnętrzny. No wszystko jest kompletnie zrobione, czyli można powiedzieć 90 km. Dobra, wyjeżdżamy, nie srodzimy. Żegnamy się z czekoladką, niech służy, niech cieszy, niech zapierdola. Z procedury startowej można czasami sobie korzystać. Darku, nowy szczęśliwy posiadaczu, właścicielu mojej czekoladki. Tutaj chciałeś coś powiedzieć z tym, co będą ten film oglądali, że nie podoba ci się angielski język. Dobrze. Właśnie cały czas zapominam, kurde, tego chcę zapisać. Tutaj kiedyś ktoś moją srebrną Audi tłumaczył na polski. No, teraz trzeba to zrobić na polski. To proszę, odzywajcie się do mnie, piszcie, że tutaj ten samochód wymaga spolszczenia. Tak? Pożegnalny odjazd i teraz widzimy się między 8 a 10 tysięcy kilometrów. Czyli koło stówki jak będzie miała. Trzymaj się czekoladką. Nie zawodź. Działaj. Pa, pa. Tego nie pokazywać. Czekoladka miała. Fit oleju skrzyni biegów od nowości nie zmieniano. 2010 rok, tak jak rok auta.
Dziękuję! razem wzrosł silniejszy.